Ooh. And welcome everyone to a special edition of
Boo!
Educated Discussion. Okay, enough with the scary sounds. My name is Felipe, and I'm joined with
Elmo
and
Tilu.
Is that what we're
Tara.
calling you?
Tara. Okay. Yes, that is my wife Tara there. We are going to be talking today about Halloween Horror Nights 2021.
HHN.
HHN.
Interesting 3 letters.
Hold on a second.
3 of
I
us.
didn't tell them where. Not Hollywood.
Singapore.
Orlando.
Universal Studios
Universal Studios Orlando, Florida. Yeah. So, it took a hiatus last year due to this thing called COVID-19. That's right, I said it, everybody. I'm not trying to hide it. That's what happened. Okay?
But the Delta.
And Delta's out there now. They don't care about Delta. They said it. All right.
Oh, no one
vaccines
cared
are-
about Delta.
No one cares about Delta. Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But anyways, big fan of Horror Nights for the past maybe, I would say, 5 years now or so? Or
About
5 or
that
6
much?
years. Roughly is the amount of time that I've been going, just myself personally. But
I think we all kind of
started at the same time.
Yeah.
No.
Well, I know you went a couple years prior, but
Yeah.
that was my first time. But anyways, so very sad last year, in addition to everything closing, that they took a year off too.
Understandable.
It makes sense. I don't blame them.
The year before that, kidney stones ruined my opportunity. So
Oh,
I was
yeah.
bitter.
Yeah. That was a good year, man. Us? Come on. Hold that
Let's not
against
talk about it.
you. Well, anyways, so it's back this year. And we all went amongst other friends that were with us as well. But they could not be here because they're all suckers. And we're here to talk to you about our experience at Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios Orlando, Florida. Where do you guys want to begin?
You're the host.
I am.
I would say that nothing would be better to start with you being the way you usually are, Mr. Negative on the Educated
That
Discussions
is not me.
podcast.
That
That is
is
you on
not
several.
me.
I have not heard more of a negative person in the last podcast than your husband
are
here. Tilu.
Contradicting yourself to various degrees.
Comment the word liar if you believe Felipe's lying here.
Okay. Well, I guess we could start with the negatives if you want to. The only reason you thought of negatives is you're Mr. Negative, so that makes sense why you thought that first. So we'll begin with that.
I'll let the former podcast decide that one, sir. Okay.
All right. I guess since the whole reason it took off a year last year due to COVID, how about we talk about how COVID affected this year? Because clearly COVID has not gone away. It is still very prevalent in our lives, and it did have some mostly negative effects, I think, to the houses this year. What did you think, Tara, about how the houses were impacted with COVID?
I didn't think it was that bad. I guess, I don't know. Like, there was plexiglass in some of the houses,
Mm-hmm.
and I was expecting that to affect it more, but to me, no, because it was still like a monster, like, coming out of nowhere and slamming up against a window is still
I would
a lot to
say
me.
out of our group, you were clearly the one most impacted by the jump scares.
Absolutely. So the plexiglass, I think for COVID, that could be a negative to some people. To me, no, that didn't affect it. The weird one was all the masks of the characters. That was kind of strange.
Yeah. Okay. Elmo?
When it comes to the plexiglass that you're stating, it definitely first of all, we should mention, because we've gone on reoccurring horror nights, desensitized is a good description, I think, of me at this point, where what used to get me doesn't get me anymore. Like, you see enough of the same tricks every year that eventually you're like, oh, you figure it out a little bit,
Right.
Which kind of sucks, but that's why we can do our movie nights that you create for us, because maybe 10 years ago I wouldn't handle what you show me.
Yeah.
With so much ability to stare at the screen.
Right.
Regardless, the plexiglass definitely telegraphed a lot, and I felt like there was probably a better way to hide it. Like maybe make more like windows
Yeah.
Like just like thematically. This is a weird video game one, but you remember the video game Dead Space?
Mhm.
Like your health meter was on your back, like everything, like you could tell it was all there for a certain reason.
Yeah.
But it was in the fiction.
Right.
It would be nice. Yeah, it would be nice if the plexiglass wasn't just so obtuse.
It was weird. Like sometimes it wasn't even like a whole thing of plexiglass. It was just like a weird diagonal shape across the door that is clearly scuffed on, where this character kind of leans up on it and stuff. So yeah, as you mentioned, it was very telegraphed at times, and there were the best use of the plexiglass is when you notice after the scare, as you know, when it's not so apparent, because you're gonna see it. You know, it's plexiglass, or it's plastic. It's not super clear, whatever. So every now and then, like you said, like when it was used in Windows, or when it was used like as a film, like a drape, like it wasn't a plexiglass. It was at that point just like a clear material or something. Shortly after the scare would be made, then I would notice the glass. Like, okay, I didn't see this. But sometimes, like I mentioned, it's just like this weird, like, here's a doorway and there's this clear thing here. It's like, oh, I wonder what's going to happen on this door.
It also led to some weird frustration, because I'd be like, okay, I know there's supposed to be a scare here because there's plexiglass here.
Yeah.
So I'm walking slower so I can run into it. And no, like, well,
yeah.
And it doesn't work out timing wise.
Right.
So I feel like I'm missing out, where as opposed to if that wasn't there. Again, I understand why it's there. But if it wasn't there, I wouldn't have that feeling of missing out as consistently.
Yeah, it's like, okay, here's just a random door to confuse you. But when that plexiglass is there, it's like, okay, well, clearly this is where something's supposed to be happening.
It just I did a lot more thinking in a house than I usually do. Still a good time, but that was definitely something that I wish they, like I said before, worked it into the house a little more. Maybe efficiently is the word.
Okay, I guess to branch out from that, just to for some quick information, there was no social distancing here. There was no like the markers on the floor. Like everyone, it was just how it used to be, you know, in the lines. So the fact that they didn't have that and did have the plexiglass was a little strange. But oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say they were saying like keep spaces, but like in between the groups. So it was said. It just wasn't enforced.
I would say we definitely weren't as tight as we normally would be in a line.
I guess so.
And they did have the hand sanitizing stations outside most of the houses.
Yep.
I wore a mask in the lines at times and in some of the houses. Sometimes I just forgot I was, but
yeah.
I was a rare Pokemon in that instance.
Yeah, you're the shiny. Okay. We don't have to get into the specifics, but in regards to what you think about the house, but where I saw the masks being the most obtrusive, or is that the right word? Most.
Well, depends how you. Well, finish your sentence. Let's see.
Context.
The most distracting.
Okay.
I guess would be not as fancy of a word. I'm trying to get fancy with my vocabulary. Was it Beetlejuice?
Yeah.
Come on. I mean, you got. We don't have to get into what we think about that. We'll get into that later. But in regards to the mask being noticeable, some of the masks were done nice. Like on the characters, if they just have like an ugly face, they'd wear a mask with an ugly face on it, and it kind of blended in.
Like the actor has an ugly face.
No,
Okay.
the creature they were playing. So it would kind of blend in, and with like quick scares, you don't really notice it unless you're really staring too hard. But with Beetlejuice, we know what Beetlejuice looks like. He's like front and center in the promotional for this event, and part of Beetlejuice is his expressions and how silly and wacky he is. All 3 or 4 Beetlejuices that were in this house didn't even try with their mask. Like it was just like this black mask on a white face with green hair, and he's supposed to be all silly and expressive, and you can't see it because he had this mask. And I get wearing the mask if you feel a little unsafe, but the Beetlejuice in the very beginning, he's like 8 feet above everyone else, and behind a plexiglass, and wearing a mask. Like he'll be fine up there.
I don't recall the plexiglass up there. Because there was also I keep wanting to say Bridezilla.
Yeah.
The Bride of Frankenstein. And there was a similar situation with that one. I don't recall there being plexiglass though.
There was, but it wasn't like all around him. It was just like in a weird, like I said, it just didn't make any sense. Like no one's going up there, so he doesn't need to be wearing a mask, and he's already has the plexiglass. So if someone's really trying to spit at him, I don't know. It just that one seemed weird.
He spit on us. Maybe they were sick that day.
Sure.
You don't think it was just they were trying to like make him like up to date with the times and like be a part of the real world?
If he made a joke like, oh, I can't even do a good Beetlejuice. I wouldn't even know what joke to make, but like, don't spit on me or something. Yeah, I don't know. Just
I guess they could if they could have done that.
If they would incorporate it, that makes sense. Like, oh god, this sucks.
Work it into the fiction,
but it wasn't.
Right.
So it was just really distracting, and I every time he would show up and like, oh, he's still wearing a mask.
That didn't bother me as much. I don't know. I don't have the affection for Beetlejuice that the people in this house may have. So yeah, as the Beetlejuice fan,
what did you think of the masks and how COVID affected that house, which, if I'm not mistaken, was your most anticipated house?
Like, are we getting into all that now? Like, my feelings about it?
About how COVID affected it.
Just COVID.
Yes. That's what I said.
Like I said, it was confused to me. Like, it was confusing to me because, like, I guess I'm just used to seeing random people wearing masks and random people not wearing masks. So when I saw him, it was like, okay, this is just a random time that I'm seeing masks. Like, I don't know. It didn't really bother me until, like, we started talking about it. But then that's when I was thinking, well, were they just trying to make him like he's part of the real life? And like you already said no. So I don't know. I was just confused with it. I don't know. I didn't really think too much about it.
Okay. You ruined the house pretty much for her.
Oh, no, ruined it.
Yeah, she wasn't thinking about it and then you brought it up. Thanks.
She went to the house already. Okay. So any other thing you guys want to say about COVID in general? How it affected Universal?
It did. Okay, yeah. It certainly affected the scare zones.
In what way?
In that there was far less. At least, and we also have to consider, and for our audience to know, it was pretty much lightly drizzling all day.
Oh yeah, so
that could have affected this. But I felt like there was far less characters out in the scare zones than normal.
Yeah.
And I made it a point to try and hit those because it was me and my sister, and we diverted from you a little bit at 2 points.
Right.
And then when we originally got there. And I just felt like, oh, there's not much happening here, huh? Couldn't tell if that was the rain or them trying to be more safe. Because they had people, but they were like up on like little stages. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, you ain't getting in my face. You ain't scaring me. But there was one area where they were doing that. So again, I couldn't tell if that was more that or not. But then there was also that weird scare zone with like the cyber government.
Yeah.
And that was the most populated scare zone. And they were all fully suited. So I think they came up with something like for a reason for why, hey, we can have this many people because they're all fully suited.
Right.
But it definitely was like they put a flashlight in my face. Like
yeah.
that was
we could, since that was your final point, we could just lead into the scare zones and what we think about them this year to kind of.
Well, I still got another negative, but go on.
Oh, with COVID, you mean?
No. But continue with the scare zone.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Kind of keeping the conversation a little on the negative end because ultimately COVID is a negative thing. It's affecting everybody and obviously affecting the houses. But yeah, man, the scare zones, I would say probably the weakest this year I've ever seen. Like when it comes to Horror Nights, like even the one weird year where all the scare zones were zombies from Walking Dead, like a few years back. That kind of got annoying, but at least there was an unpredictability with the zombies and like what they would do and how they would walk. That whole cyber government area, what was that? Like that was so lame. Like,
I have some theories about it. I won't get into here.
And I think what would have helped is if I did go into the website and read what the scare zones were about, because they always have that little description like, oh, I'm going to make up one. Cyber government found a UFO crash and they're scanning everybody. And if you're an alien, you get evaporated. So maybe, I don't know, if I read a narrative on what was supposed to be happening, then maybe I would kind of understand it, but I had no idea what was happening.
I figured it out.
And I wasn't compelled enough to look it up.
I feel like I figured it out immediately and was very curious as to if my theories about it were correct.
Did you look it up and find out?
No.
Oh, see, it's because it's not
Oh.
interesting.
Well, you kind of already said it, but go.
Oh, did I nail it? I just made that up.
Do you want me to say what it says here?
Yeah.
Or do you
No, I know
want
what
to
it
say
said. I thought about it. My dad said I was thinking too deep. Just you go.
It just says a ruthless alien cyber. I don't know how to say that word. Regime.
Yes.
Yeah.
Led by the controller, that's the name,
Uh-huh.
has taken over New York, turning humans into fuel, succumb or be destroyed.
Here's how I interpreted
The
it.
lamest.
Here's
Like
how I
what?
interpreted it. Someone really hates COVID and really thinks the government's trying to control everything. So is this like they're flashlighting you because that's your vaccine card, and you saw they were like scrambling people up, and there was characters that weren't like fully covered, and I thought it was just some dude really got into the government conspiracy aspect and then made this scare zone.
I've never seen that much thought put into a scare zone before. So
I mean, that's
I
their
think
job. Someone's
I'm
gotta
on your
do it.
dad's side here.
Okay,
I think you're thinking too much into it.
that's just how I saw it immediately.
I think
based
you're on the right in the beginning of how when you think that they chose this theme because of to be fully covered.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're right on that, but the rest was dumb. I will say this though, when it comes to the scare zones, I did not.
He doesn't mince words. Anyway,
What?
continue.
I was so let down by all the scare zones that I completely forgot there was one scare zone that we did not do that night. And that was the one on the Hollywood Boulevard or whatever it's called. Over there where Terminator used to be, and I think now Jason Bourne.
We made sure to do that one.
Yeah, I heard that was actually the best one.
Yeah. I'm sorry. That's loud.
Jeez.
It absolutely was the best one.
Okay, gotcha. And the scare zones were so weak that I just did not feel in any way enticed to go look for more.
To be fair, your husband here, Tilu, he went in on a mission to accomplish one task, do all these houses.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I would argue it was so efficient
Yeah.
that I could see why you skipped a scare zone, because you were so methodical with everything else
Yeah.
when it came to your priority.
Right. Which
Yeah.
was the reason we were there, for the houses.
Yeah, but like you said too, at that point it was just like, oh, we're walking through another lame scare zone. So then at that point, like you said, you're not even like thinking about finding the rest of them.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the
'cause
best
then
one, the one that you missed.
Because then there was like Crypt TV. And I'm familiar enough with Crypt TV. Like, I don't watch all the shorts.
MTV Cribs?
No, just it's like a little horror channel on Facebook, and I'm sure on YouTube and other stuff. But I always see it on Facebook. I was like, all right, I just really hope they have the creature, the Birch, which is the one clip I did see fully and really, really thoroughly enjoyed the creature design. And I'm like, this is perfect. They're gonna have creatures from Crypt TV. This is clearly the most, and it wasn't there. Like, this is the most famous one to me. This is the one.
I don't even know what you're talking about
Yeah.
in terms of whatever this is and where this was at.
This is a
Hollywood.
scare zone. It was called Crypt TV.
Okay.
It had like a Krampus.
This is right in
thing.
front of Fast and Furious, or where Earthquake used to be. What is it? What
Okay.
Earthquake?
Okay. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that whole zone. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, no. The Twister was by Jimmy Fallon. But you know what I'm talking about.
I do know. Yeah.
Yeah. Disaster.
I didn't know that's what that was
Disaster.
supposed to be.
Yeah, it was based on that, and they just had various creatures. There was like different sets though. Oh, here's the spider creature from the
Right.
Spider short.
I saw her.
I didn't see that. I didn't see the short. I saw her.
Oh, okay. Same here.
Though I did see the smiley face guy. That one was a creepy short I saw. So they had some cool, neat things, but nah. And then the one scare zone that's always really moody because it's like thin and you're kind of forced to go through that hallway, and it's always dark. And they always do a really good job there. That was to me the best one that I saw out of the three.
That was number 2 for sure.
Yeah,
Was that the forest one?
yeah, the little forest one.
Yeah, that was the best one to me.
The one you missed, there was like this like not a clown, but he definitely reminded me of like an Alice in Wonderland, Tweedledee, Tweedledum
Okay.
characters. And like me and my sister were walking, and he like waddled up. Sorry, I just hit a chair. He like waddled up like from side to side. He was clearly like a heavier set, or at least the costume was.
Yeah.
And he got incredible, like closer to us than anything else ever did.
Oh.
And there was something cool, was like that the back of his head was also a face. And it was like, I was like, this is the most uncomfortable I've been, for sure. Not the most scared, but the most uncomfortable.
Okay.
So I would say it was effective.
All right. Okay. So let's move on to
The food.
no. Really want to talk about the food right
No,
now?
we could go over real quick. I went into this event expecting like my diet no longer matters because this is what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
And one coworker of mine, the beep boop person,
Yeah.
she was like, "Oh, the food's just, oh my god, the food is great." She sounds something like that. Anyway, I went in expecting, all right, there's got to be something I'm missing with this food. I was so lame. Is that what they?
What did you eat?
Nothing looked that interesting.
Oh.
One thing did, and then all of you kind
You
of
can't.
pooped on me for
Judge.
thinking that might be okay. And
What?
What are you talking about?
Someone, definitely one person. The grilled cheese, whatever.
That looked good.
Okay, well,
Yeah, that sounds good. That
Okay.
wasn't us.
I think it was our friend and my sister who were like, ugh. So I was just
Well,
like,
they
okay,
don't
fine.
count.
Anyway,
Nice one, keep-
so I went in expecting. So I was like, I'm gonna get some twisted taters, and they get worse every year.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but that first year the twisted taters
Right.
were out so good.
I don't know.
Mine
what they're
was
doing.
good. Mine was my
no,
favorite.
It wasn't. It's not. You're,
No, I'm for real. This
you're getting
year,
paid by Universal. To say
I
this.
wish, but this year was my favorite twisted tater.
That's
But
insane.
I get the salted one,
Yeah.
the plain.
I will
salted.
say it was better than I would have thought it would have been. But yeah, you just got plain salted potato tater.
But
So
it
what-
was
I guess that's what you do.
good though.
This year they added Cajun, and I was very, very happy. But no, they had this thing called blood and guts tater.
That was no longer in stock.
Exactly. It's like,
So
well, we
lame.
got the blood, but we don't have the guts. I'm like, all right.
So you want me to go back to the menu and find out which one's the blood and which one's the good?
Yeah,
No.
exactly.
It doesn't
I'm
even
like,
say,
which one's
though.
which? And he's like, oh, I think it's like, I think. All right.
Also, the way the line worked was dumb.
Yeah, it was stupid.
And I literally had to walk back. The guy knew I was going to look at the menu. He could have just told me what the options were. But no, he had me walk back
Yeah.
to go look at the options.
So dumb. Anyways,
You were in the
The-
wrong line.
yeah.
I had to save you. I'm done.
The only thing that I like getting there, well, never mind. It changes every year, but the twisted taters are always a must for me.
Not anymore.
Even though they get disappointing every year, I'll probably still get it just because. The other stuff always looks interesting, but I don't know if I want a whole meal from it like that. I've always wanted to try the burger between the two donuts, but I probably won't like it. I'm just curious what it tastes like, so I'm not gonna get it. And then there's like, oh, here's this black and white ice cream. I'm like, all right, it's probably just vanilla ice cream with chocolate. I don't know.
like an Oreo. Cone.
Yeah, like something like that. I'm like, I don't need to get that. I need to get my butterbeer. I got that. But
Yeah, we got butterbeer. That
yes,
was-
not
But
not a
that's
staple.
year round all the time.
But that
anyways.
one thing you brought up earlier,
the candy corn
yeah,
thing.
candy corn.
It's like a
freeze.
frozen drink. Yeah.
That was last year or the year prior, and they had
It
it
was like
twice.
2 in a row.
Oh man, it was so good. And then they also had like peppermint or something,
Not
candy
peppermint.
cane.
No, because that's Christmas time.
Oh,
It was something else that was okay, but it was the candy
candy
corn
corn
one
was the one.
That was
Well,
the-
anyways, so they usually have exclusive food, but none of it looked that interesting for me besides that thing that you talked about. But we had just eaten when you had brought that up, so I was like, all right, I'm just gonna do my butterbeer and my twisted tater later on in the night. But come on, yeah, I know the twisted taters was Beetlejuice themed. Have it in more than one place.
yeah.
There's that one time where you and me went to go look for the twisted taters and we just couldn't find them.
There were so many of everything else. If
Yeah.
you want a peanut butter and jelly, whatever, you can find
or
it.
if you want alcohol, it's just spit and you'll find it. But yeah, twisted taters in one location in the entire park. It's like, all right, give it 2 carts. But anyways,
I
okay.
do like my cup though that I got. It was flashy.
Oh
Literally.
yeah, had a little light built in or whatever.
Mhm.
So let's get to the meat of this sandwich. The houses. How do you want to start with the houses? I know I'm the host, but I feel like I'm doing all the talking.
Do
You guys
wanna
want to start with
the?
Okay,
Oh,
go ahead.
I'm gonna say the bad to the good.
Well,
And
that would be
Or
ranking
what?
them.
No,
And that's
I'm
gonna
not-
be so.
That'd be too
well, I
difficult.
mean, like your least favorite, and then like your favorite.
I'm just
Whatever.
saying.
Say what you were gonna say.
I'm just saying we are going to probably have different opinions.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So maybe we just go down the list.
Okay.
All right, let's start here.
Well,
Well, he's got. Some
okay, he's got the
open.
official.
These are my notes.
But for the audience, Tilu has written down with her beautiful handwriting all the zones in the houses.
Okay,
It's.
I have the
terrible.
descriptions here. So I'm gonna go, I guess, in order of what we did. Let's see if I can remember the order.
Mm.
Now, one thing to note is that you, Elmo, and your sister were very late. and you missed the first house that we did. You for some reason thought this event opened at 7 when it opened at 6:30, but they let us in early at 6:10. So you're very late. So anyways, the first one that we did was case
This
files.
needs to be a video cast so you can see the face I'm making.
You were late.
I did all the houses.
That's great. You were late. Anyways, Case Files on Earth was the first house that you, me, and 2 other friends did. Me talking to Tara right now. I'm just going to read the quick description. Follow the trail of a private eye as an investigation into the supernatural leads you into a dark world of ghouls and terrifying creatures.
Or they should put that description outside of the house or something.
That was one thing I was going to bring up later is improvements that we can do. And one things I should have done, I should have read the descriptions for each of these houses. Because in that way I could have at least seen what they were going. Because I was very confused what was happening in this house. I just saw Case Files on Earth. I'm like, let's go. Mm-hmm. Detective stuff, that's all I assumed. And I kind of got some of it. But reading that would have helped. So Case Files on Earth, that was the first house we did because you came in super
you
late.
done that one anyway.
You went... that was the last house you did with your sister.
We got into that house and the place closes at 2 at 1:57 a.m.
Yeah. Oh, I assumed these characters were done.
No.
Oh, okay. They're still going?
The employees were definitely trying to get us out of there.
Oh.
But it's because we were the only 2 in the house.
Oh, nice.
Like, it was all to us, pretty much. And I will say, if not for my bias towards other intellectual properties, that was probably that sits at my second favorite house.
I don't have a ranking system like that. I can tell you what my favorite house was and what my least favorite. I wouldn't dive too much in. I haven't thought about it that hard to really say what my second one is. I would say I enjoyed it. I mean, it was the first house. It kind of got the mood going for us to what to expect this year. One of our friends that we took, this was her first time going to a Horror Nights. So she didn't really know too much what to expect, but ultimately she really enjoyed the experience and got, that was her first taste, was that house, and got to see the production value, which is one of the main reasons that we go.
And there was a decent production value, and it was an eclectic mix of scares, where I feel like in some of these other ones you're getting kind of the same dude jumping out at you. Mm-hmm. This one, I didn't know what was going to happen when I turned a corner. And I was like, oh, that's cool, several times throughout that house, as opposed to like the Tooth Fairy, whereas it's the same little dude or whatever that was popping up. And was that the Tooth Fairy? Are we talking about that one now?
No, because I didn't got to talk about my feelings about the Case Files.
Yeah, it's 3 of us here, Elmo. Come on.
That's new for me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's true.
Anyways, I really liked it. I put that was one of the ones that I put a check mark on for what I liked, because that was the first one. That one put me in the mood, and I am the chicken out of the group, so I don't know. That was really good. And I like when I have no idea what's going on and what to expect, because then when I see something scary, it's like extra scary because I didn't expect it and I didn't know what to look out for. And there was all different kinds of really like scary looking creatures to me. So I liked it.
Okay. Cool. And then these schmucks finally showed up. And then what do we go do? What do we do after that?
No, was that like town?
Oh, yeah. Welcome to Scary. Let me see if I can find that. Welcome to Scary. Horror in the Heartland. In Cary, bad things just happen. No one escapes from this small town beset by an endless parade of bloodthirsty creatures and maniacs. That was the description for that house. What did you guys think about Scary Horror in the Heartland?
I couldn't tell you anything about it. I forgot it existed. It was also the first house I did, but it didn't impress me. I
would say it was one of the worst ones for me too. It was just kind of like, okay. You were doing that walkthrough. Tara was looking at some of the walkthroughs to refresh her memory earlier before you came. And I was like, oh, I remember some of this.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was okay.
I think I liked it. But yeah.
Ultimately, I like most of the houses this year. It's just there was definitely ones I was just like, oh, this kind of wasn't very good. But okay. Not much else to say on that then?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
moving on. I think that's when we did pumpkin, right?
Yeah. Why don't you read the description for pumpkin this time? Change up the narration.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not as good.
You can do it.
There's no breaking free from the vines of the pumpkin lord. Here to entrap you, it is ever-growing evil.
I enjoyed... I at some point, I feel like I was inside a pumpkin. That's the look they were going for. I was like, that's cool. That's pretty cool.
It's neat.
And there was like... I felt like they tried to make pumpkin monsters.
Yeah.
And there was like that one guy coming out of a pumpkin... Spoilers for Pumpkin House.
Well, we're spoiling the whole thing. Yeah, it's fine.
And it was definitely like, I was like, okay, this was the second house we had done for me. And it was definitely like, all right, now we're back on track. Yeah. HHN. Now we know what we're doing. I still personally felt like I was missing a lot because that's when I started noticing. I after that first house for me, I was like, oh, okay, I see with the glass. Okay, the plexiglass. Yeah. So we already went over that, but that's when I started noticing the patterns a little bit. Mm. So that I wasn't used to that expectation yet. So it was like, oh, this is cool, but I'm getting used to, my own expectations.
Okay.
I liked it because, like, for those really, like, super fall themed kind, like with pumpkins and scarecrow stuff, those ones are, like, really kind of scary to me. And just the growling of, like, the monster pumpkins, that gets to me.
Okay.
Could you replicate the pumpkin growl?
No.
Ooh, that's scary.
That was close.
No, it's like a roar. I don't know. It's just that really
I'm a pumpkin.
Oh my god. It's just like a really like demonic growl. I don't know. It just sounds scary. And they did all kinds of different kinds of like pumpkin monsters in there. Like if you go to the Halloween store and you see like the really scary looking like death monster pumpkin, and then you see like more orangey, not cute, but like more of like a pumpkin face kind of pumpkin. But they had like all the different kinds. So like you said, like when we walked through, it was neat to be like in the pumpkin
guts.
I wanted some pumpkin seeds right then and there.
Yeah, salted ones. Oh boy. Yeah, no, it was cool. Just to reiterate what you guys pretty much already said, creative uses of pumpkins. That neat area walking through it was very cool. And the stuff hanging from the ceiling with all the pumpkin seeds, it was like sticky and gooey. It's kind of cool. And then I did like having the big showpiece of the pumpkin lord at the very end, and he was like interacting with the crowd and like following people. So it was an actual person up there and not an animatronic, but he was just kind of chilling up there and just being menacing and stuff. He was like the final thing you see before you leave. So I enjoyed it. It was good. Typical. It is a strong original house that they came up with, so it was good. All right, moving on from there. Do you guys remember what we did? I feel like we did Texas Chainsaw here.
You're right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you want to read the description for Texas
No,
Chainsaw?
Tara's gonna do it. We each get 2.
Okay.
Hold on, give me a second. Step into the dilapidated Texas home.
Twisted dilapidators.
Jeez. Okay. Step into the dilapidated Texas home of the depraved, sadistic Sawyer family, who welcome you with razor-sharp blades and a roaring chainsaw. Roar!
The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So obviously one of the intellectual properties they got this year. They always choose usually about 4 houses based on some kind of property. Okay? So this is one that they've actually had before. So this wasn't a surprise to me. I've seen pretty much all this before, but I don't mind seeing it again. They're great houses. So what did you guys think?
There's definitely more of the... I feel like I've done this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I want to say this is actually maybe my 3rd time seeing this a form of Texas Chainsaw. I might have seen... Definitely this one I've seen for sure, but there might have been a different Texas Chainsaw maybe based on like the 3rd one or something. I don't even know. I don't even know how many they have. But yeah, it was samey to me. It was like I kind of knew what to expect on this one, and I got what I expected.
There seemed to be way less chainsaw wielders in the scare zones.
Yeah.
So this is where you got that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's one thing we mentioned off mic as well. A lot less chainsaw. What's that? What was it?
I don't
Or
know.
Popeye's cup or something.
Oh, okay. Jeez, well.
It's
Horror
the
Nights-
pumpkin.
It's the pumpkin.
pumpkin. That's an orange cup. There's orange on that cup. Orange pumpkin.
Imagine if that happened.
There's a chicken
when we're
on
talking
it.
about Exorcist.
Oh my god.
That movie's not scary to me.
We're gonna watch it. Did you ever see it? Anyways,
Yes, I've seen it.
all right. Okay, so yeah, not much to say about Texas Chainsaw. It's Texas
If
Chainsaw.
you're a fan of the film,
Our friend was, and he enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Although I think he's been to one of those houses before, also. So moving on from there. Did we do Bride of Frankenstein Lives?
it was that or Tooth Fairy.
I think it was Bride of
Yeah.
Frankenstein.
All right, I'll do this. We belong dead. The last words of Frankenstein's monster when his bride rejected him. Now she'll stop at nothing to bring him back.
Made that sound like a romantic comedy.
lives. The Bride of Frankenstein lives.
Okay. What'd y'all think about this one?
This was the first instance of a character or charactress. I don't know if
Okay.
that's the phrase. That they were placed up high above that we went to.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, cool. It's been a while.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like
Something
it.
different.
It was because there's so much of like when you first walk in. And I'm sure this is everyone, but I'm like I want to soak in as much as I can. I want to be like sold on this experience that I'm about to run into, and that's like an easy way to draw me into what I'm supposed to be like expecting in terms of like when I walked into the Texas Chainsaw House. Like, all right, I'm in this area. This is what I'm supposed to be like imagining I'm going through. And that's just an easy setup.
Well, that's one of the reasons we like doing Horror Nights. I mean, they just do it so well. Their production, from what I've seen with other horror haunted houses and stuff, is just unmatched. I mean, they're the kings of that. So they usually do a good job, and as long as the characters are on their game, you know, it feels like you're there. You know, so that's one of the cool parts about it. I'd say that I wasn't a huge fan of the house myself. I don't care anything about Frankenstein has never been scary to me. And I know that's not the point of all these houses, but now his bride, like I don't care.
mean,
She's not that scary to me.
I mean, I'm not scared of pumpkins, but
they made it scary.
Yeah.
They didn't do this. That wasn't scary.
some
for me.
of the they had Frankenstein there at points, like the not character versions,
Okay.
and all I could think was, this looks dumb.
Yeah.
I was like, maybe it needed the right lighting or something, but there was something about it. It looked a little cheap at points.
Okay.
And this is one of two houses that I felt like the budget maybe was cut a little bit or something.
No, but I will say there was one effect that was done cool, and I'm pretty sure it was this house, Bride of Frankenstein. We've brought it up recently that whenever a house does that thing with the swing, did you by any chance catch that in this house?
Nope.
Or in any houses?
No. I saw that this house had that, but I wasn't
See it in
timed for
action?
it. Yeah.
Okay. I saw it in passing, but I saw it in the corner of my eye, and I got to see like a lot of it. I was like, that would have been really cool if you were right in front of it. And she was, but yeah, at one point, either her or some kind of creature is on a distance, and they have like this weird harness on them, which you know, unless you're really looking for it, you're not going to see it. And they're like in a weird tunnel hallway with like mirrors to make it look like even more further back. And then, yeah, they just leap and swing towards you, you know, and they had that effect in this house. And I like when houses aren't just boo, you know, and popping out from places, when they do neat things with mirrors or with like projectors and stuff like that. So I did appreciate that they, like you said, it started off with her high up. Had her trying to lift a pillar off of Frankenstein, and it fell back down because she sucks. And then, and then just like, you know, had her like trying to shock him back to life. So although I didn't like the house personally, just because I wasn't scared, and I never liked Frankenstein ever in any kind of incarnation, except for maybe the Van Helsing movie with Hugh Jackman. But besides that, I did appreciate the effort that they went to try to make it cool, and I wish those were used in better properties or better houses that I liked. But yeah, what about you?
It was okay. The vampire lady, I don't know if that's what they are, but they looked like vampire faces to me. Those were scary.
Okay.
But otherwise, it was kind of a corny one that was meh.
Yeah.
You're yawning just thinking about it.
Yeah.
I was fine with it.
Okay. Shifting down to 2:30.
Oh, I get to read this one.
Yeah.
Lucky me. The innocent traditions of the Tooth Fairy hide a darker ritual. It's an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth.
And it's called?
Oh, that's called Revenge of the Tooth Fairy. Can you tell me, or the audience here, that can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and even on YouTube, there's a visual form of the podcast. You heard a quick quote from what would seem to be maybe a child and before we got into this house?
It wasn't a child. It was a young
Okay.
lady, but she's probably a teen. But yeah, your sister was the one that brought it to my... Because I heard it, but I didn't hear it until she said it. And I was like, she did just say that. What was it?
I don't recall the exact quote. Do you?
The exact quote, no. But it was something along the lines of, for a house about a tooth fairy, there was no
tooth fairy.
No, it wasn't very tooth fairy or something like that. It was just like...
There was no tooth fairy, it seemed to
something like that.
That's because you guys missed it. That the tooth fairy were those monster things. Like
I didn't know that. I was those little goblins.
Yeah, so I will say this to preface this. I was really excited about this house because I like the story of the Tooth Fairy, and I like when
Dwayne Johnson here
with Dwayne Johnson. I like the story of taking something that everyone knows or grows up with, like an Easter Bunny or like a Santa or anything. That's why I really like Krampus.
Lil Jon.
I don't understand.
I don't know.
I don't get what you're saying there. Okay. So Tooth Fairy, I'm like, oh, this is cool. Let's make this dark and twisted. So to me, this is actually one of my most hyped houses besides Hill House because I love the show.
Okay.
So I was really looking forward to this. I'm like, well, it's an original house. Horror Nights usually does a good job with them. So let's go. And then there was the wait time of...
it was 60 minutes.
It was 60 minutes.
And your friend, this is when we were both trying to just convince... Like, you were like, what's the best house to go to next?
Yeah.
And she said something along the lines of, don't think, just do it.
Yeah.
And then I was like, you didn't think about proposing to your wife, you just did it. And you're like, I'm not proposing anything right now. And I'm like, yeah, you're proposing what house we go to. And then she had some final word that convinced you we're doing the 60-minute Tooth Fairy house.
Yeah.
And when we were walking in, I remember thinking, why did I help her?
Yeah.
make this decision. It ended up not being a 60-minute wait though.
It was close to it.
Was it? I felt like it was surprisingly short.
Yeah, I thought it was short.
Oh, really? To me, it dragged
It
forever.
was like 30.
I think it was like 45.
It was. I think it was less than that.
Really?
Yeah.
It felt forever to me. Well, anyways, to me, it was a really long wait.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, this was the most disappointing house in the whole night.
Yeah.
Well, and disappointing because of the expectations I set for myself. The house was fine. But I had so much higher expectations that it was just like, oh man, I did not like that.
This is a house that would have benefited from a Beetlejuice or Bride of Frankenstein, where you're introduced to what the Tooth Fairy even is beforehand.
Well, here's the deal, though. You were, but it just wasn't done super well. Like when we were walking in, there was that weird like hallway thing where there's all like the black curtains or whatever hiding everything, and you're walking through it, and they had this little projector with like the story. It's like, oh, in the olden days, the Tooth Fairy is known for this. And they had an image of what the Tooth Fairy was supposed to look like, right? So to me, I was looking for this. Now, obviously, the image they use was a very old school, traditional, beautiful looking fairy looking thing, like a woman. So I was like, obviously, that's not what they're gonna use. They're gonna use like a demented version of that, right? So then you turn the corner. So to me, I already had my eyes. Let me look for this woman, but I want to see the twist. Like I want like the lights to blink and all of a sudden she's scary or something, right? Or have her just mangled with teeth or something. But then you turn the corner and then the house starts and you see like a little diorama, like a storybook. And to me, I thought it was a neat effect because it was all in the art style of like old folklore and folk tales and stuff like that, like what you would see in those really old nursery rhyme books. And it was like moving and stuff, but because I was looking for this woman, I didn't see these little freaking demons in there or as part of the diorama. There was like one behind the kid who was on the bed. I saw the kid and I was looking at how cool like the cabinets looked because it was all that art. So I was just impressed with how they did it, but I missed the little demons. So to me, I didn't realize that they're trying to tell you that the little demons is the tooth fairy. There is no tooth fairy, if I understood that correctly. Is that right?
They were the tooth fairies.
So
Like,
there
if
were
in
the
the
tooth fairies. Not,
Yeah.
There wasn't one. So to me, I was looking for the
I
one.
guess it could have been one, just
Maybe.
different stages of its night.
Yeah, exactly. But it was just like this little
But-
goblin.
It's-
You know what it looked like? It looked like those things that Professor Gildor Lockhart or whatever his name is releases. Those little pixies.
Like brown versions.
Brown, bigger versions of that. And it was just like, it's not what I thought.
When I walked in, because this was the only house that I was in the front.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we made you go to the
And I
front.
made it through it, so it wasn't that bad if I was
Yeah.
fine at the end of it. But I saw it right away, because it was the diorama thing of the kid being scared or whatever on the bed. But I knew that was the tooth fairy because I saw it pop up and it was near a window and it was behind it, so it was that was it. And
Okay.
even looking at
didn't see
walkthroughs and stuff, other videos of walkthroughs, I had to show it to you 2 times after that.
Yeah, she showed it to me
to
before you
point it
came
out
over.
where it was.
And she's like, here they are. I'm like, no, it's just the kid on the bed again. You're like, no, behind him. I'm like, oh, rewind that?
It's, you know what? Your idea of this beautiful lady being the tooth fairy.
I knew it
that
wasn't
would've been-
gonna be
that
a
would have been
beautiful
more
lady, though.
interesting.
Well, that's what
I
I'm
feel
saying.
like whatever this was leftover costumes from an old house or something.
I think so, it was too. And I did like seeing the gory scenes of the people's mouths being mangled and drilled and stuff.
Yeah, that was one good shot I remember pointing
Yeah.
to my sister. Hey, look at that.
It was cool. It was some neat things, but I kept seeing these little goblins. I'm like, all right, so these are the tooth fairies. Minions is the ones.
Yeah, I was
these
waiting for the tooth fairy.
Right. These are the minions, but it turns out it was just the tooth fairy. It was either one, and they're just showing you, like you said, the different stages, or it just had a few different.
I mean,
fairies.
aren't minions yellow?
Yeah. Well, it is universal.
The universal ones.
Yeah. So to me, this was the equivalent of that, of minions, or the elves to Santa Claus or something. But no, that's just who they were. So I was just I kept looking. All right, here it comes. Nope. Okay, it's just this little.
Yeah, I think it
things
was once we were out of the house, you, Tara, maybe pointed it out. No, that was the tooth fairy. I was like, oh. They should have done a Beetlejuice where it was the tooth fairy I'm gonna take your teeth.
Right.
Yeehaw.
No. So, anyways,
I caught on to what they were
Catching
doing.
that window part that you mentioned would have been really cool to see.
Yeah, so going into that, I caught on right away, what they were doing and what these monsters were and stuff through it. I just didn't think it was that scary as the group chicken. I made it through just fine.
Wait,
I was like,
And
what?
it was
this is a chicken house?
Yeah.
I'm the chicken. But I don't know. As far as scare factor, I was I made it fine.
I will say one of the things with the houses is with the speed that you're going through them. There's never really a way to experience everything the house has to offer. There's always going to be something that you miss. And when we get to the Hill House, yeah, I will mention something that a lot of people missed that I caught just the last second, but I couldn't see the full effect of. But because of the speed, in this case, yeah, me and LL somehow missed those gremlins or the tooth fairies.
Yeah, that's
and because of the speed that we're going through the houses, you don't get all the scares. Sometimes you see a group in front of you get scared with somebody, all right, so I know someone jumps out of there, so they're not going to jump out in front of you, at least most of the time. Sometimes
They jumped
still
out
do.
in front of me because I was
Yeah, they saw you though.
Yeah,
They know
I guess
they
so.
saw
They
what you
do
were
know
doing.
me because I was holding on to our friend, but
Yeah.
they
Yeah, you
always
hurt
know to
her
get
neck
me.
real bad.
She said she was fine.
Yeah,
I followed up.
we haven't seen her since. Alright. Okay, so moving on from Tooth Fairy, I think from there we decided, all right, let's go knock out the big ones because we were kind of running out of time. And I think that's the point where we split too. And you went to go meet up with your dad and then get your taters. And we already talked about the taters situation. So then we said, let's go do, was it Beetlejuice?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's go do Beetlejuice.
Wait, who's reading the description?
It was 2 per each, right? So it's my turn.
Well, let's do 1, 2, 3, and then as the host, you get the last one. You should do Beetlejuice. That's your
Yeah.
most hyped.
Got trouble with the living? You know what to say. Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. It's showtime. Nailed it, right?
Yeah, that's pretty good. What was the name of that?
You should lead the discussion here, I feel.
Okay.
I feel like you have the most to say.
That.
So you are literally sitting in front of two Beetlejuice.
You got a 4K and a Blu-ray
Yeah.
in front of you.
And I had it taped straight from the TV when I was 6.
Yeah. So you're a big fan.
Yeah.
Okay. Let us know what you think about this house. Get into details now that we're back to this.
You've drunk the juice.
Yeah. So it was a really long wait. That was the longest wait,
That was
right?
the worst one.
It was really, really long. As a Beetlejuice fan, I feel like they pretty much nailed the set and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved that. And I loved a lot of like the little details and seeing the caseworker June and just all the monsters and stuff that you see in it. And I really liked Barb, and you saw like her dress and stuff coming up because that was a whole big part. It's hard to talk about if you're not like as big of a fan and you don't know the scenes and stuff.
You're not talking to us right now. You're talking to
I know.
I'm
just saying. So it was just to see those things and know those things. It was cool, but I wanted more. Like the way you were saying, like how things were sped up and we had to like go through the houses kind of quick. I felt like that one was kind of sped up, and for as long of a wait as we waited for it to have to kind of rush through it, that was the one house. Obviously, my eyes were open the entire time because that was what I was there for. But I found myself like looking behind me and trying to look in every single crevice of everything and look up and look down and stuff to make sure that I didn't miss anything. And I still feel like I did kind of miss things. Yeah. So I'm like really sad about that. And I wish it wasn't a really long wait so I could have gone back. But looking at it, I guess overall, I still liked it and I was pleased with like the setting of it and stuff.
I'm not a huge fan of Beetlejuice.
You actually hate it.
I don't.
You did a Beetlejuice rant cast about how much you hated it.
I did not. No, it was fine. It's just not too much for me. I did watch it with you, and I wouldn't mind watching it again. It was a little strange.
In 4K.
Well, now we will. But yeah, I wasn't a huge fan. But I because I did watch it with you fairly recently. I think we were still in the apartment when we popped it in.
Yeah.
But a few years back, I still recalled everything. I was like, oh, there's the receptionist. That's why would they have that? That's cool. She's in here. And then there was like the waiting room. I think some guy was like on fire or an arrow or something. Something was burning, and I was like, I remember that.
It was like smoking.
Yeah, and then there was like the diorama upstairs with everything. It was well done. They nailed it. Yeah. For someone that isn't a fan, I can still recognize when something's done well. And they did do well. I was just super disappointed with Beetlejuice himself, which is the name of the house. Yeah. I will say though, that one effect, it always gets me in the very beginning when you're walking through.
That was terrible.
I feel like you know how we say we're desensitized to things and we can kind of get used to it.
Yeah, that one doesn't go away.
I can't get away from that. Every single time I'm like, all right, here we go with this again. I'm through it. A step and a half into it, I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Like, I don't understand. Why is that? What is going on?
I'm literally like holding myself. I'm like, are they moving us? Or is this really just my brain tricking me? It's crazy. But it worked for that.
And they do that every year. There's always one of those.
Yeah.
Not my favorite usage of it. I think there was an Alice in Wonderland one a few years ago that I thought was my favorite version of that. But still, it's always an effective technique.
Yeah. What do you think of the house?
I mean, I'm the least Beetlejuice knowing of the group. So my sister really liked it. Okay. And she was a fan, so it must have been all right. Okay. I was like, this lady, who's that lady? I'm supposed to be scared of her? Okay.
I don't think it was supposed to be a scary house.
No.
I think there was like one scare.
Oh, sorry. It was Halloween Horror Nights, not Halloween Comedy House. The night.
Comedy house.
No, it's, I wish I could appreciate it more.
Yeah, I got you.
I didn't do the prep work.
There was a few things I wish like they made move. Like towards like the end when he looks like a fair carousel thing or whatever. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
You know. Mm-hmm. I'm like,
was it that cool thing that was up in the ceiling?
Oh, that thing at the very end.
I don't know what it was, but I'm like, that looks cool. I wish I had a better angle on it to know what I'm looking at, but it looked cool.
Yeah. If that could have been...
What was the name of that creature at the very, very end?
I don't remember.
Beelzebub.
Fake fan.
Yeah. I am a fake fan. But
Yeah.
no. But what I was saying...
There was like the only house that used a giant animatronic of some sort because it did move.
Oh,
also.
his head?
The big...
That was when he was like the
snake thing.
sandworm.
Yeah, the sand thing.
Yeah.
They had that thing at the very end.
Yeah, I know.
Okay,
that
was
cool.
huge.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah,
That's
no
not
other
what I was
house had
talking
that.
about, though.
So
I was talking about when he's like the other form. I'm looking at the picture here.
You'll have to put that on the YouTube version.
On the cover, on the case. I just wish he was moving.
okay.
Like, I think, like, because he's like a ride or something, and he's in the Beetlejuice form of himself, but he's got, like, I don't know, like a carousel kind of thing or whatever, like that. I think that moved, but I wish there was more movement, like he was popping up and down or something. And I just wish a few more things moved. Like, in the waiting room, they had the smoke and stuff, but it would have been cool if, like, those were characters or
One of them
something.
came up.
Or at least one of them, just to have more movement there. Like, the receptionist, I think she was
Yeah,
real
she was a
there.
real person. Yeah.
And then there was, like, another Lydia in there when she was like, I myself am strange and unusual. Like, that was cool that she, like, nailed it. But I wish at the other part when she was wearing her, like, red wedding gown thing, that looked like it was, like, a mannequin in there.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
that was kind of strange. Should
Real
have got
quick.
another Lydia.
I don't know if I was next to you. It must have been you, Elmo. There was a house that had a lady with the pregnant belly.
We'll get to that.
Oh.
Well, as I was gonna ask you, what house was that?
I know what house it was. I'll bring it up
Okay.
when the time comes.
Okay then. So what was the next house that we did after Beetlejuice?
The Haunting of Hill House.
We did
correct?
Hill House, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Number one house in Halloween Horror Nights. Based on this list your wife wrote, it doesn't seem like that's the case for her. But, yeah, I pointed at that earlier.
What?
Yeah.
Why is there a frowny face next to it?
No, read it. Read the description.
Yeah.
What house are we talking about?
The Haunting of Hill House, Netflix. Welcome to Hill House, a structure more alive than its ghostly inhabitants. Inside these walls echo the haunted footsteps of those trapped here for all time. So Haunting Hill House, safe to say, yours and an eyes. No, that didn't sound right. Yours and eyes. No, that still doesn't sound right. How would I word
Yours
that?
and mine?
Yours and mine.
Best house. Just the overall best house.
No, but
everyone
no.
can
See, okay, so you ruined it then. Our most anticipated house would be
Yes.
Hill House, right? Okay. I wonder if it's our best house.
agree.
Because you just ruined it.
I said
you
this
ruined
earlier.
a surprise.
I said this earlier.
Oh, okay.
Surprise!
Yeah, I think maybe I did too. Yeah, so I was looking forward to it. I'm a huge fan of the show. I finally got you to watch it. Turns out you really like the show as well. Tara, you also enjoyed the show, and it included one of our scariest moments ever in our lives in history of universe, and it'll probably never be matched and beat. It was a weird set of circumstances that it turned out, and it just worked incredibly against us for the scariest moment. We won't get into that, but anyways, the show was really good. And I'm like, oh, finally, here we go. Here's something, because I'm not a big Beetlejuice fan. I already seen Texas Chainsaw. What's the other property? Haunting Hill House. Let's go, baby.
Not a real estate property you would want to buy, though.
No.
No thanks.
That's why it's just good going to the house just to walk through it. So to me, this was the best house. Could it be because I am way more familiar with this property?
That's of course gonna.
I would assume that has a big help with it.
But who cares? This is educated discussions.
Yeah, boy.
This isn't
Right.
Tara decides discussions.
Okay.
With her awful frowny face. Here,
That's a happy face.
That is not a happy face. Take a picture of that. Put that on the YouTube version.
Okay.
Which
No,
you
they
can't
can't
see
read it.
unless you're on the YouTube version, but we are available on Spotify and Apple iTunes. Please leave a comment and like this video as well if you're on that version.
Elmo, do you want to start with Hill House?
What do you mean start with it?
Talk
I was just
about
talking.
that.
Okay.
That's
I got
what
what
we've
you're
been
saying.
doing
I was like,
this
wait,
past
didn't we just read the
way too
description?
long.
All right. This was the house that did two different feats, that's FEATS, that impressed me the most.
Okay.
This was the only house that decided we're just going to have nothing for some reason and just leave you in complete darkness. And that was the most anxious I've been in any of the houses. One of the times it was definitely because there was going to be something above us.
Oh, yeah.
Which I did see like the tail end of because I was just like, well, why are we in this? What's going to happen?
Very end of that, and I was so upset I didn't know it was happening. But how would you know?
Yeah.
But anyways.
There was a second stretch of it and nothing seemed to happen. But I was definitely like, oh God, like why am I in complete darkness?
Yeah.
And then there was one part that you previously mentioned. There was a woman leaning against the wall and it seemed to be like a fetus really trying to make its way somewhere. I don't know where it was planning.
It's trying to make its way out.
Yeah, you go. Anyway.
So to me, this fetus, I thought it was just a dummy. I'm like, this is cool. Like, look at the motion. Like, it looked really cool.
Right.
And then this lady has the audacity to just jump out and go there.
She got both of us.
Yeah, she got both of us. Yeah, I think that's the house you and me were walking next to each other. He's like, all right, two buds here, experiencing the house that we're most interested in. You know, the one that we were most familiar with. This lady.
That was my most scared.
That was the most scary.
I thought it was like a animatronic or something.
Yeah, same here. And
with the way it was moving, especially, I don't know how they pulled that off. I'm sure.
Yeah, it was just. I'm sure it was something that just threw like a little machine they put on her belly.
They need more belly machines.
It was really well done.
Was there some kind of like growl or something with it?
She did something.
Something, because it got me too. But at that point, I had just passed her.
Yeah.
But it still scared me. So that
you
part,
probably peripheral saw it or something.
Yeah, that part. That was the scariest part in that house for me.
That was the scariest part of the night for me.
Yeah.
My guard was completely down. I was like, oh, that's a cool effect on this dummy.
Yeah.
No, it's a person.
I'm a sucker for like stilts.
Mm-hmm.
So when they had that tall guy,
the
tall man or whatever,
he got me at one point too. He got surprisingly close.
Yeah, he got real close, and you saw him twice. I thought it was like just the one scene. No, he showed up again. I'm like, oh, you jerk! I just got done seeing you over there. So, but yeah, that one scene that we're talking about, when it was complete darkness, and we saw like that last bit of it.
Mm-hmm.
It was the broke neck lady or whatever they called her in the show.
Crooked neck lady.
Crooked neck lady or whatever. The main thing on the cover, you know, for Hill House is this lady that's being hung, and there was like a scene where in the show, one of the people is like sleeping and then looks up and she's just levitating, like hovering in front of them.
That's what that is.
Directly, like that, and like screaming or whatever, and that's what was above.
Man,
so
I got that.
That's what I'm saying. Like as I was leaving, I saw it, and I was like, whoa, what was that? Why was that up there? And then someone in the back was like, crooked neck lady or something. I'm just like, oh man, that I would have been so cool if I saw that myself, like directly under it, because I saw it was something, but I didn't realize what. And then my mind put it together. I'm like, oh, that's the scene where she's above you. Yeah. So I was just like, darn it. If I had a chance, I'd go back through the house again, but it was already kind of late. We were all winding down. That Beetlejuice line really knocked all of us out. Like,
yeah.
I can just see the mood change and everybody's like excitement and just the tiredness coming in. So, but anyways, yeah, the house, again, being the most familiar with it, I really liked it. That was, to me, is my favorite house.
You gave it a frowny face. You're gonna have to
explain this.
I don't really know why, but like I just remember walking out and I was like, I wanted more from it.
I would say I wanted more from it too, but I still enjoyed it.
I think maybe I missed a lot of stuff too, because like I said, like when I went back and watched like the walkthroughs, there was another part with the crooked neck lady where it was like a hologram thing and you see her like hang herself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I
got to see that a couple times. Did you see that one?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you were walking next to me, so most likely, yeah.
Well, I wish I saw that because I think that would have added it for me. I don't know. I don't know why I put a frowny face.
You get a bad run.
Yeah.
You can have an opinion. It's okay.
I mean, that's going to be the case for
Elmo has the wrong ones all the time.
But I don't know. I put a frowny face because I feel like I didn't really remember as much as I wanted to, and like I didn't like it as much as I wanted to. But talking about it again, like it really wasn't like the worst. Like I've been let down by other houses before.
This doesn't sound like much of a recommendation, but sometimes you get a bad run.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was, I think, the case for think the next one for me.
So then we were leaving, and then we were like, all right, we got time for one more. We ended up doing 2 more, but I thought we only had time for 1 more. Thankfully, we didn't. So after that, we quickly ran over and did puppet theater.
I liked it.
Oh, I didn't read it.
Oh, just kidding.
Well, it's my turn.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying.
Let me pull it up. A puppeteer and a ballet troupe trapped in a deserted theater for years are about to turn you into a human puppet. That's your cue to scream.
Oh, I will say this: leading into the house, into this Horror Nights, everyone's saying puppet theater. That's the one.
My dad said the same.
Everyone said this is the best house. Would you guys say it was the best house?
I will preface by saying this is the point where you said you noticed we were past the point of like, okay, we're tired.
Yeah, our legs hurt.
And was this the one that we just went right in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the sign didn't even have a wait time. It said ride now. Like,
Yeah, it said enjoy.
And
I was
like I remember leaving that house and saying like, can we just do it again? Because like,
yeah,
I feel like I missed a bunch. Was that also? There was also a house. Maybe it was this one. I think it was this one. My sister noticed there were a ton of characters leaving at the time. Like they were all like hooded. There was a bunch of Dementors just vacating the premises. And there was a good point where like the first like 2 or 3 rooms, nothing.
That's what I was thinking for that one too, because I remember like a few years ago when we went really late into one, it seemed like there was nothing there. And it seemed like there was like nothing there for a lot of stuff that should have been there.
I just don't see why there would be a shift change so late into the night when it's literally about to close. So to me that doesn't make sense.
I mean,
no, dude, it was 1:30. Like what were they gonna do for half an hour? Yeah, it was. That's why I said we only have room for 1. And then when we ended, we're like, okay, maybe it wasn't 1:30, but it was like
they did a shift change.
No, now that I think about it, because we went to go do icons after, which we'll read, and that said it was a 25-minute wait, and it really wasn't. It was like
no, that was way shorter.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like.
But anyways, that's why I was like, well, we can at least get into the line. But whatever, it was still. Why would you do a shift change even less than an hour before the thing closes? That doesn't make any sense. Those people, when those workers go, they're there for a couple hours doing their job. So I get what you're saying.
You know
if you saw that, that's fine.
I know someone who could find out. I don't like shock. Did you just yawn? No. Sorry, I was like, I know. So I'll find out. Okay. Remind me.
All right, I'm curious to know who you're talking about. But anyways.
Yeah, what's your source?
Yeah, because we have a source, but yeah, whatever. Anyways.
I liked. Oh.
Go ahead. No, please.
No, because I think I cut you off before and you forgot your thoughts. I wrote down my thoughts.
No, read your thoughts.
Smells.
Smells?
I like that there was smells in that one.
Yeah.
Like the powder room, it smelled like the powder. And then the roses, like it was like really strong scents.
Oh,
and like
I didn't catch the rose. I caught the powder.
I caught no smells at all.
Oh,
really?
really?
I have a bad sense of smell.
There was, I don't know what kind of room it was, but there was roses all over. And like dead roses and stuff. So I don't know if it was like a...
Who was leading?
Girlfriend, wasn't it?
Huh?
Or was it you?
Girlfriend. Oh.
Who would girlfriend?
Try not to name names.
Oh, I thought. Okay. Anyway. Okay.
No, girlfriend.
Oh, okay. I was like,
yeah.
They're
a friend that's
those
a
two
girl?
are dating? What?
No.
Anyway,
I think
whoever was leading was going too fast. They needed to slow down.
Okay. Wow.
It's fine though. But I feel like I missed a lot. That's all.
I just liked that the smells were like really strong, because I've been in other places before that try to do that smell effect and it's very faint, where this was like someone went in there with a powder bottle and went all over the place, and then somebody like really went hard with the rose, the flowery scent. So I'm surprised you guys didn't smell it.
I didn't smell the roses. I smelled the powder.
And maybe because it's not a flavor, but a scent that I really like. Mm-hmm. So that's probably why it stuck out.
If it was lilac, I'd totally. I'm just
whatever.
No, I have a poor sense of smell, so it's just something I couldn't appreciate probably.
It was just because I was being told it was the best one, and after just coming out of Hill House, it wasn't.
And there was an actor change We
I guess
missed the
I
first two
didn't.
rooms.
Yeah, I didn't
Or
catch
three.
that myself, but I will say there did have a lot of variety in the house. There was a cool effect they did with the mirrors during that powder room, like the makeup room for the faux mannequins or whatever.
See, I don't even know what you're talking about.
There,
I don't remember this house at all.
oh, okay.
It feels there's a blur.
Okay.
We were also tired at that point.
We were very exhausted. But I guess just to explain the mirror effect real quick. You know, like in the mirror, like in the theaters where they have like the light bulbs around the mirror? Right?
Yeah, it's a
And-
vanity mirror.
Right, the vanity mirror. They had that, but there was no mirror there. But they still had light bulbs on the opposite side to make it look like with the angle that you're walking that it's the reflection. But it wasn't. There was this character there, so as you're getting closer, he like comes out. And I was like, oh, this was a good effect. So it was just something I remembered from that
I think
house.
I caught the end of that.
Okay, yeah. So, but anyways, yeah, it was fine. There was some neat sets and some neat scents apparently, and some variety there, but nothing too crazy. Again, we might have just caught it at the wrong time, and our movies were just gone. All right, anything else to say before we shift over to the last house? Who's reading that one?
You're the host, or we could all read it at the same time.
Coral read.
Oh, let's read it at the same time.
That's gonna sound like a disaster.
It's gonna sound terrible.
All right.
For the first time ever, 30 years of characters from your worst nightmares come together to decide who's the most evil of them all. Halloween Horror Nights, you're not reading. Icons captured.
Details.
What?
Details.
Oh,
You're
that's
reading
the bottom.
that part.
Sorry, when I started reading that in my head, I'm saying for the first time in forever.
Oh my gosh. So that was the final house that we did. Well, that we did as a group. Then you went back and did that case files. on her.
Correct.
What did you guys think of Icons?
They really like their fake Joker Harley Quinn.
Yeah, she was
Mhm.
really in there more than Jack, who is more of the face.
No,
of
I
this one.
thought
He was in there a lot too,
Yeah.
but I saw her a lot as well.
Yeah.
More than She wasn't even.
Could have just been our
promotional.
rotation.
Yeah. So
It was whatever.
That one was supposed to be like a different ending every time you walk through it.
what?
Like what I heard, like they were all going against each other or something, and there was like a winner at the end of it.
I didn't catch any.
Yeah,
of
I
the
didn't catch that
storyline.
either.
Well, it says they were captured, and I'm like, oh, at least the plexiglass makes sense. They're
Yeah, that would make
stuck
sense.
behind there. But it was, I don't know. Who are these icons?
Just the
Halloween
original,
Horror
Nights.
yeah, Halloween Horror Nights original faces that they use.
They need to market them a little better so I know what the heck is
I've
iconic
seen-
about any of them.
I've seen Jack and
Yeah.
I've seen Harley Quinn chick various times.
What's her
And
name?
then
She's icon. She's an icon. What's her name?
Justy.
and then the director.
Yeah, I've seen these on like shirts and stuff, but again, I'm not really there for the original Halloween. Like those houses usually do impress me the most because I don't know what to expect, and because Universal is Universal, they can usually pump out some really cool effects, and they can get a little creative with those. But I'm there for the intellectual properties. I'm there for the licensed houses. I'm
Yeah,
there
to
for
bring our
Walking Dead.
movies to real life.
Yeah, I'm there for Walking Dead, for Cabin in the Woods, for what's the other one? Evil Dead.
Because we wouldn't get casted to be an extra otherwise. So this is the closest we could get to being
This
a
is-
part of our
Her
favorite
name
movies.
seems to be Chance, by the way.
Okay,
the rapper.
right. Chance the Rapper. Okay, so that was pretty much all the houses that we did. What did you guys think? You know what? Before we get into what we thought overall, any improvements you guys think you can make?
Make a Cabin in the Woods house every year reoccurring, and you
Just
can
change that.
thematically with the movie make it work. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay.
Yeah, more movie ones.
Okay. Here's what I have for what can be improved. And this isn't just choosing like which houses. Here's what I have written down here. More houses especially ones that are tied to a franchise, should have clips playing outside them to remind you or catch you up on the movie or show. That way you can appreciate the details a little bit more. One of the neat things about Hill House is I hadn't seen that show since it came out. That was a couple years back, and then Bly Manor came out, and now the new one, Midnight Mass, is about to come out. So it's been a while. So it was nice to have the projector as you're approaching the line and to see some of the big moments played out again. I think that and that helped because I kind of forgot the scene about the kids stuck in the little dumb, what are they called? Dumbwaiter. Mm-hmm. So when you see that, I was like, oh yeah, I just saw that outside. Like, that's cool. If they did that for Beetlejuice, had a projector of all the big scenes, so when you see them again, especially for those who aren't familiar with Beetlejuice, they'll be able to see that they recreated it, like they nailed it, right? And if they had like the story set up for Case Files on Earth as you're in line, like have a TV or something, like replace what you would see in Shrek, replace it with like the storyline of detectives are trying to find, do that for every single house. That way people are at least kind of knowing what to expect when you go into those houses. And that way they can kind of follow a storyline than just being kind of just like, oh, what's happening here kind of deal. I think that would help the houses a lot if they did that for every house.
They've done that in the past for the house whatever house that you're in line for that's in front of the main concert stage. Yeah, the concert area. They usually have that there, but
they did it this year.
Yeah.
They just had ads and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I think they should do that. I love the way they did it in Hill House. They just had the projector. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like super awesomely detailed. It was just enough to kind of have you something to look at while you're waiting in line to memorize you or familiarize you with what you're about to go through. And that would have helped for Texas Chainsaw because I haven't seen that movie in a very long time and I never saw all of it. So to me, I was just, okay, I know who Leatherface is, but I didn't know all the scenes. And if they had that projector...
He's a Mortal Kombat character, right?
He's in Mortal Kombat, yes. So, yeah, I think that's something they could do.
It'd make the lines a little more interesting.
A little more bearable. Even just some flashy graphics to explain the house. You don't even have to have clips from a movie or show. So, that's it. I mean, did you guys... Typically, what Horror Nights does is they have like a theme. Normally, did you guys sense a theme this year?
No.
I think the only theme I could think of was just celebrating 30 years.
Yeah, that was the theme.
I mean, I know that's what they said all the time, but I didn't really sense that too much.
Well, Beetlejuice is old.
It's more than 30.
Hill House is newer.
Yeah, so it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, there wasn't really like a theme.
Right, so... Something of note that I noticed. I didn't really catch that this year, but what'd you guys think overall? To wrap up Horror Nights 2021. Overall thoughts. Tara.
Okay. It was a weaker year, but it was still solid enough for a comeback since we haven't had anything for a while. Mm-hmm. So I still had a really great time and I still screamed a lot. And I love that. But it was a more bearable year. Like it wasn't too crazy scary. Because there's definitely been years in the past where it was like I had my eyeballs closed the entire time. So.
Wasting money.
No. It's still fun because it's the thrill of it all. Okay. But yeah, it was still good. I still had a good time for a comeback.
Okay. Alma?
Like, maybe I'm getting old, but my lower back was hurting.
You're old.
On, like, House 7. Like, it was the Beetlejuice line. My back hurts.
I heard you say that a few times.
Why? This is new. So,
Workout boy.
I'm doing Chloe Ting, okay? Doing her workouts. I started a new one today. Anyway. The lack of Express Pass this time was felt. Because I did that the one time when I previously went in 2019.
No.
2018.
2018 is when you went.
Oh man, it's been a while since I've been there. So this was like my big return to it in a way. And I just felt like there were too many outside factors that just put a little bit of a damper on it. The consistent rain.
Thankfully never too bad.
Right. Which I should be thankful for.
Yeah.
But there was that consistent like blah feeling of rain.
Yeah.
There was the lower back pain. There was just the sizable enough lines. And then I just wasn't I'm not too familiar with a lot of the properties. So it was probably the weakest year for me. And then COVID made it weird with the glass and everything. Yeah. So it's an understandable, and I'm also more desensitized. So again, it's an understandable decline in quality.
Right.
But I still enjoyed that I went. Okay. I'm happy I went.
I will say that I'm fairly on a similar boat to you guys. Definitely one of the weaker years. I don't know if it was the weakest. I will say that there has been 1 or 2 years where I did not get a chance to do all the houses. I think there was even 1 year where I only did 4. Of like, at the time, I think there was 8 or 9, and they've recently kind of been jumping it up and setting the standard to 10. But I only did 4 houses 1 year, and even then that was a better year than this, somehow. So, and that was the year I'm pretty sure we did all the really fun houses. That was Cabin in the Woods. That was Evil Dead. Exorcist. I don't even remember.
Yeah, that's the year I closed my eyes. But it was still a great time.
It was a great time. but I am happy that I got to get my money's worth seeing all the houses. We didn't get a chance to do the shows. None of us really talked about that. They do have those shows, but with us there's no time, especially we had to choose a Saturday just due to everyone's work. Saturday is really one of the worst days to go to a Horror Nights. Best day typically being during the middle of the week. Not middle because they're not open, but like Thursday. That's honestly one of the best days that I've noticed to go, when lines are less and you have a chance to hit all the houses and then even some rides. But anyways, yeah, it was a solid year. I mean, it was underwhelming for some of the properties that they chose, but like you guys mentioned, it was just nice to be back. I didn't think I'd miss it. I mean, I knew I'd miss it, but I didn't know I'd miss it this much, just 1 year off. You know, so Horror Nights is a special event and I really enjoy it. And even though this year wasn't too great and COVID clearly had some effects on it, I had a really good time. And like I mentioned earlier in the cast, we brought a friend who was her first time there. And she told me she really had a really good time and she'd do it again. And she's even considering putting money away for Fast Passes next year. Like, start a fund now. Because they were way too expensive this year.
Yeah.
So, but I get it. I don't know. It's still too expensive to me.
It's a lot.
We got to see when next year's houses are, though. Because if they're, like, really awesome houses and something that, like, we got
to see.
Yeah. Then I feel like, okay, let's do it. But we can still start saving today.
I'm telling you, with that HBO show, Last of Us, I'm telling you. It's going to be a Last of Us house eventually. Just wait.
Like all the other HBO houses in the past.
Yeah. You don't remember? Chernobyl.
That was not a house.
That was okay. All right. Well, that's pretty much our thoughts on Halloween Horror Nights this year. Any final thoughts or closing sayings or anything before we leave?
We did it in September.
Yeah, that's one thing to note, I guess.
You've done that. That's what you do.
Yeah, that's just normal.
But we've never done that, so it was kind of strange.
We usually like going during Halloween time. To me, Halloween time is October and closer to Halloween. But it just, with a job that I have, it just wasn't going to work out for me. And I figured, since everyone's schedule has to be on a Saturday, that's the only way it works for everybody. If we do it early on versus later, it's going to be even worse wait times later. So that's why we did it September. But it was still fun.
Yeah, it was still fun, of course, but...
Yeah, probably something we should have mentioned earlier.
I feel like I still was a little surprised at, like, how crazy the lines were for September. Packed. But I guess, finally everybody has something to do, so everybody's back.
Yeah. The world's slowly opening up.
Yeah.
So any chance to get out of the house.
I had to play into that. But...
Anything?
Keep it educated.
That's it?
Yeah.
You're just going to cut it off there? No.
Well, you didn't say your half.
No,
so
you know what? I'm going to bring up a whole different topic.
That's fine. Go ahead.
So the Twisted Taters. No, it's good. Okay, yeah, that's pretty much everybody. Thank you for sticking through and listening and hearing our thoughts. Like my good friend Elmo says, keep it educated. You're supposed to say, and keep it discussions.
Oh, and keep it discussions.
There it is. Amateurs. So to me, I'm like,
Woof woof.
all right, sorry for my dog there. So to me, Jesus Christ, Lily. Tara, what are we gonna do with this dog?
She's just chilling.
Put it over there. There, I'll do it.
Are we still on the air?
Yeah.
Are we keeping this audio in?
I will leave it probably for after credits.
Okay.